I paid $400 for one night and somehow ended up standing in a hotel lobby with 2 hungry kids, a crying wife, and not a single place to eat. How does that even happen? And at what point do you stop being the calm, reasonable dad and start being the guy who refuses to get screwed over? Because that night, apparently, I crossed that line. It started out like one of those rare moments where everything feels right. My wife had planned it. That alone should tell you how much it meant to her. She's the type who carries the mental load of everything. School schedules, meals, doctor appointments. So when she told me she'd booked a one-night getaway for spring break, I knew this wasn't just a trip. It was her trying to give us something. A memory, a reset. The place looked incredible online. A resort/convention center about an hour outside the city. Big indoor pool, activities for kids, multiple restaurants. One of those places where you don't even need to leave the property, which, at the time, sounded perfect. We packed up the kids, made the drive, and got there just before noon. Check-in wasn't until later, but we figured we'd ask. Worst they could say is no, right? Instead, they smiled and said we could get early check-in for an extra $100. I hesitated. Not because we couldn't afford it, but because something about paying extra just to access a room that was probably already ready felt off. But the kids were excited, bouncing on their feet, already asking about the pool. My wife looked at me with that hopeful expression, like, let's just make this easy. So I said yes. We dropped the bags, changed, and headed straight to the pool. And honestly, for a few hours, it was perfect. The kids were laughing, splashing, racing each other down the little water features. My wife actually relaxed. I mean, really relaxed. Shoulders down, smiling without that constant background stress. We grabbed a couple of overpriced drinks, sat poolside, and for a second I remember thinking, okay, this is worth it. This is what we needed. Time slipped by faster than I expected. Before we knew it, it was getting close to dinner. The kids were tired, hungry, and starting to get that cranky edge. So we dried off, headed back to the room to change, and then made our way to the lobby to figure out dinner. At check-in, they'd given us a printed sheet with all the restaurant hours and activities. I glanced at it again while we walked. One restaurant was marked as closed, private event, I assumed, but there were still a couple of other options listed. Plenty, I thought. We got down to the lobby, and right away something felt off. It was busy. Not just normal busy, packed. People in suits, dresses, name badges, groups clustered everywhere. Music drifting in from somewhere deeper in the building. That kind of corporate event energy that makes you feel like you accidentally walked into the wrong place. I looked around for signage, something that pointed us toward one of the restaurants. Instead, I saw ropes and signs, private event. At first, I figured it was just one section, maybe the ballroom or one restaurant. No big deal. We walked a little farther. Another sign, another rope, private event. I felt that little flicker of annoyance start to build. Okay, fine. Let's just find the other restaurant. We kept walking, and that's when it hit me. Every single space, every restaurant, every lounge, every open seating area was blocked off. All of it. I remember standing there for a second, just trying to process it. Like my brain refused to accept what my eyes were clearly seeing. There was literally nowhere to go. No restaurant. No snack bar. Nothing. Just crowds of people attending whatever massive private function had apparently taken over the entire building. My daughter tugged on my hand. Dad, I'm hungry. My son chimed in immediately, his voice already on the edge of whining. Me too. I looked at my wife. She looked just as confused as I felt. We double-checked the paper. The restaurants were supposed to be open. There was no mention anywhere that the entire place would be booked out. Nothing. I felt the annoyance turn into something heavier. This wasn't a small inconvenience. This was the entire reason we came here. I took a breath, trying to stay calm. Let's just ask the front desk, my wife said. I nodded. But the kids were already fading fast, so I told her I'd take them back up to the room while she went to talk to someone. As we walked back, my son started asking questions. Are we not eating? We'll figure it out, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Inside, though, I was already running through the situation. Middle of nowhere location. No easy alternatives nearby. All on-site dining? Unavailable. This wasn't just bad planning. This felt like they knew exactly what they were doing. We got back to the room and I sat the kids down, turned on the TV, tried to distract them. But hunger doesn't distract easily. Every few minutes, one of them would ask, "When are we eating?" And every time, it hit a little harder because I didn't have an answer. About 15 minutes later, my wife came back, and I could tell immediately it didn't go well. She had that tight, controlled expression, the one she gets when she's trying not to lose it. "They said they can give us a $75 food and beverage credit," she said. I just stared at her. "For what?" I asked. She hesitated. "For the inconvenience." I let out a short laugh. Not because it was funny, but because it was so ridiculous I didn't know what else to do. A credit? For food? At a place where we can't get food? She didn't answer, because there was no answer. I felt something shift in my chest. That calm, reasonable part of me, it was slipping. "This place is $400 a night," I said, my voice still low, still controlled, but tight. "We paid extra just to get in early, and now they've shut down every single thing we paid to use." "I know," she said quickly. "I told them that." "And that's what they offered?" I asked. She nodded. The kids were watching us now, quiet, waiting. I stood there for a second, then shook my head. "No, that's not acceptable." She sighed, already bracing. "What do you want to do?" And that's when I said it. "I want a refund, and I want to go home." The words felt solid the second they left my mouth. Logical. Fair. But the reaction I got was anything but. Her face changed the second I said it. Not anger. Not immediately, at least. It was something closer to disbelief. Like I had just suggested we pack up in the middle of Christmas morning and walk out. "Go home," she repeated, her voice tight. "Are you serious?" "Yes," I said, still calm. "There's nothing here for us. No food, no space. What exactly are we staying for?" "For the kids," she snapped, a little louder now. That caught me off guard. I glanced over at them. They were sitting on the edge of the bed, watching us like it was a tennis match. "They're hungry," I said. "That's not exactly a great experience." "They were having fun at the pool," she shot back. "We can go back down there. We can make it work." Make it work. That phrase hit me wrong. Because to me, this wasn't a make it work situation. This was a we paid for something and they didn't deliver situation. "That's not the point," I said, keeping my voice low. "We didn't come here to sit in a pool all day and then starve. They advertised restaurants. They're closed. That's on them." She shook her head, already frustrated. "You're making this bigger than it is." "No," I said quietly. "They did." There was a pause, a heavy one, and then she said it. The sentence that flipped everything. "We have kids." I stared at her. "I know that," I said. "They're right there." "No," she said, her voice softer now but more intense. "I mean, we have kids. We can't just react like this. We can't just pack up and leave every time something doesn't go perfectly." Something didn't go perfectly. That's how she saw it. And in that moment, I realized we weren't even arguing about the same thing anymore. To her, this was an inconvenience. To me, this was being taken advantage of. "They didn't tell us," I said, slower now, trying to make her understand. "They booked us into a place where they knew everything would be shut down. That's not a small thing." "They probably didn't know," she said quickly. I gave her a look. "They booked a full private event that takes up the entire building. And you think they didn't know?" She didn't answer. Instead, she rubbed her forehead, already overwhelmed. I wanted this to be a nice trip," she said quietly. "For all of us." And there it was. This wasn't really about the hotel anymore. This was about the fact that she had planned this. "I'm not blaming you," I said, softer now. "This isn't your fault." "But you're making it worse," she said, her voice cracking slightly. That one stung. Behind us, I heard a sniffle. I turned. "My son." "Why are you guys fighting?" he asked. And just like that, everything shifted again. Because no matter how justified I felt, this was what it looked like to him. "We're not fighting," my wife said quickly. But he wasn't convinced. And then my wife started crying. Quiet tears. "I just wanted one nice night," she whispered. I ran a hand over my face. "I know," I said. And I meant it. But at the same time, something inside me refused to back down. Because if I let this go, then what? We sit there, pretend it's fine, Spend more money at a place that already screwed us? Smile through it so the kids don't notice? That didn't feel right either. I looked back at her. I'm not yelling, I said quietly. I just don't think we should stay here and pretend this is okay. You're ruining it, she said, barely above a whisper. There it was. Me, I was the problem. And for a second, I questioned myself. Was I overreacting? Or was this exactly the kind of moment where you're supposed to stand your ground? Because I couldn't tell anymore. And that uncertainty, that was worse than the anger. I stood there for a long moment, caught between two instincts. This wasn't just about the hotel anymore. This was about what kind of person I was choosing to be in front of them. I took a breath. Okay, I said quieter. Let's just figure out food first. My wife didn't respond right away, but her shoulders dropped slightly. Did they say anything else? I asked. They mentioned maybe room service or snacks, she said. Maybe? I repeated. Of course. I checked my phone. Nothing nearby. I'll go check downstairs, I said. I'll come with you. Stay with them, I replied. When I got back to the lobby, it felt even more surreal. People laughing, servers carrying trays of actual food right past me, into spaces I couldn't access. I walked up to the front desk. I just want to confirm, there's no restaurant available tonight? All dining spaces are reserved for a private event, she said. Every single one? Yes, sir. And this wasn't communicated? I'm not sure, sir. It wasn't, I said. We can offer a $75 credit. For what? I asked. Available food services, which are limited room service and a small market. Snacks? Yes, sir. I took a breath. Do you understand how that sounds? She didn't answer. We paid $400, paid extra to check in early, and now there is no place to eat? That's not an inconvenience. That's a failure. I understand your frustration. I don't think you do, I said quietly. I'm asking for a refund, and we'll leave. She spoke to a manager, came back. We can offer a partial refund. How partial? 50%. Half back. Still staying. Still dealing with it. I nodded. Thank you. And went back to the room. They offered 50% back, I said. That's something, my wife said. Silence. Because now the question wasn't what the hotel did, it was what we were going to do. Maybe we just stay, she said softly. The kids looked at me. Can we eat now? My son asked. That was it. All right, I said. Let's get food first. We went down to the small market, grabbed sandwiches, chips, drinks. Overpriced. Barely food. Is this dinner? My son asked. For tonight, yeah. He didn't complain. We went back up, ate quietly. No excitement. Just eating. I'm sorry, my wife said. This isn't on you, I said. After that, we took the kids back to the pool. They laughed again. For a while, it felt almost okay, but I couldn't shake it, that feeling of settling. Later, the kids fell asleep. The room was quiet. You're still mad, she said. Yeah, I admitted. But sometimes it's not about winning the situation, she said. I thought about that. I could push more, escalate it, maybe get a full refund. But at what cost? Another argument? More stress? Or let it go. Not because it was okay, but because for this one night, maybe it mattered more to keep things together. We'll leave a review, I said. She smiled slightly. Deal. The next morning, we packed up and left. And the whole drive home, I kept thinking about it. Where's the line between standing your ground and knowing when to let something go? Because I still don't think I was wrong, but I don't think she was either. So now I'm curious. If you were in my position, would you have pushed harder or done the same thing I did? Let me know what you think, because honestly, I'm still not sure where that line is.